What a battle this turned out to be between the Indiana Fever and the Los Angeles Sparks, because from the opening possession you could immediately feel the intensity, the physicality, and the pressure both teams were playing with as Indiana tried to establish themselves inside, while Los Angeles relied on speed, athleticism, and aggressive defensive energy to stay competitive throughout the game. Early on, the Fever made it very clear that everything offensively was going to run through Aliyah Boston, whose dominance in the paint completely changed the tempo of the matchup, forcing the Sparks to collapse defensively almost every possession. Indiana attacked downhill repeatedly, using sharp ball movement, quick bounce passes, and transition offense to create easy scoring opportunities, while Kelsey Mitchell brought relentless pace and scoring aggression that immediately put pressure on the Sparks' perimeter defense. Mitchell looked confident from the start, attacking gaps, creating space off the dribble, and constantly forcing defenders into uncomfortable positions, while Boston's ability to operate inside gave Indiana one of the most balanced offensive attacks they have shown all season. On the other side, Los Angeles refused to back down despite roster inconsistencies and lineup changes that have affected them throughout the year, and players like De'Arica Hamby and Azura Stevens stepped up early with physical drives, tough finishes around the rim, and defensive effort that kept the Sparks within striking distance. Stevens especially used her size effectively, creating difficult matchup problems in the paint while contesting shots defensively and making Indiana work for every basket they scored inside. Kelsey Plum also began settling into the game offensively, showing flashes of the elite shot creator she has always been with quick crossovers, hesitation dribbles, and pull-up jumpers that shifted momentum whenever the Fever started building separation on the scoreboard. As the first quarter continued, Indiana's offensive efficiency became the biggest storyline because they were attacking from every angle, spacing the floor properly, finding open shooters, and controlling the paint at an elite level. Their movement without the ball constantly forced the Sparks' defense to rotate late, opening driving lanes for Mitchell and allowing Boston to establish deep post position near the basket. Every time Los Angeles tried to slow the pace down, Indiana responded with transition opportunities, quick passes, and aggressive penetration that continued wearing the Sparks' defense down possession after possession. However, the Sparks answered with toughness and energy of their own, relying heavily on second-chance opportunities, offensive rebounds, and physical interior defense to keep the game competitive. Hamby brought tremendous effort defensively, while also attacking inside offensively, and Plum slowly started finding rhythm, with difficult contested shots that reminded everyone why she remains one of the most dangerous guards in the league when she gets comfortable offensively. Throughout the first half, both teams exchanged runs, with Indiana using discipline and execution, while Los Angeles leaned on athleticism and hustle plays to generate momentum swings. Indiana's spacing remained impressive as they repeatedly created open looks through ball movement and drive and kick action, while the Sparks tried countering with pressure defense and transition attacks whenever they forced turnovers or secured defensive rebounds. Sophie Cunningham also brought important defensive energy for Indiana, battling aggressively on the perimeter, contesting shots, and helping disrupt passing lanes during critical stretches of the game. Her hustle and physical play added another layer of toughness for the Fever, especially when the Sparks attempted to increase the tempo and force Indiana into mistakes. As the game moved deeper into the second quarter, the physicality increased dramatically. Every possession became tougher, every rebound became contested, and every drive to the basket came with heavy defensive pressure. The Sparks began attacking more aggressively in transition, trying to speed the game up and prevent Indiana from setting up their half-court defense, while the Fever continued trusting Boston and Mitchell to stabilize the offense whenever momentum began shifting toward Los Angeles. Mitchell's scoring aggression became increasingly important because she consistently found ways to create shots even under heavy pressure, using crossovers, hesitation moves, and explosive first steps to attack defenders one-on-one. Meanwhile, Boston continued controlling the interior with strong footwork, smart positioning, and physical finishes near the basket that kept Indiana's offense efficient even during difficult stretches. The Sparks continued responding through collective effort, with Stevens providing key baskets, Plum creating offense late in possessions, and multiple role players stepping up with hustle plays that prevented Indiana from completely taking over the game before halftime. Even when shots were not falling consistently for Los Angeles, their effort on the glass and commitment defensively kept the score close enough to maintain pressure on the Fever. Then came another major momentum shift as Indiana began finding success from the perimeter in addition to their paint dominance, stretching the Sparks' defense even further and forcing difficult defensive rotations. The Fever offense suddenly became much harder to contain because defenders now had to worry about outside shooting, while also protecting the paint against Boston and Mitchell drives. That balance allowed Indiana to generate cleaner looks offensively and slowly build confidence as the game progressed. However, the Sparks continued fighting back with resilience, refusing to let the Fever fully separate on the scoreboard. Kelsey Plum started attacking more aggressively off isolation plays, using footwork and ball handling to create separation while knocking down difficult shots under pressure. Stevens also continued making critical plays defensively and offensively, contesting shots near the rim while contributing important scoring inside. The competitive intensity between both teams continued rising throughout the second half as defensive adjustments became more aggressive and every possession carried increased importance. Indiana relied heavily on execution and discipline, while Los Angeles tried creating chaos with defensive pressure and fast-paced transition opportunities. The Fever's offensive system continued producing quality looks thanks to excellent spacing and strong interior presence, but the Sparks countered with hustle plays, offensive rebounds, and physical defense that repeatedly disrupted Indiana's rhythm. As fatigue began setting in late in the game, the pressure moments became even bigger. Every missed shot, turnover, foul call, and defensive stop suddenly carried major momentum implications. Mitchell continued stepping up for Indiana during these moments, showing confidence and composure while creating offense under pressure. Her ability to attack defenders and hit timely shots became one of the defining factors of the game, especially during possessions where the Fever desperately needed scoring to maintain control. Boston also remained dominant defensively, protecting the paint, contesting shots, and forcing Los Angeles into difficult attempts near the basket. The Sparks, however, refused to go away quietly. Hamby continued bringing physical energy and attacking the rim aggressively, while Plum kept searching for opportunities to spark a late comeback through tough shot-making and playmaking. Los Angeles repeatedly cut into Indiana's lead through hustle, transition offense, and second-chance scoring opportunities, keeping the pressure extremely high during the closing minutes. The defensive intensity became even more dramatic late in the fourth quarter as both teams fought for every loose ball and contested every shot with playoff-like urgency. Indiana continued emphasizing interior offense and disciplined execution, while Los Angeles relied on aggressive perimeter play and transition attacks to generate quick scoring opportunities. Cunningham's defensive activity remained important during this stretch as she consistently pressured ball handlers and disrupted passing lanes, helping Indiana secure critical stops during key moments of the game. Meanwhile, Mitchell delivered some of the biggest defensive plays of the night, attacking confidently and knocking down shots that completely shifted momentum back toward Indiana whenever the Sparks threatened to take control. The Fever's ability to remain composed under pressure ultimately separated them during the most critical stretches of the game. Even when Los Angeles generated momentum through difficult shot-making or defensive stops, Indiana responded with execution, patience, and timely scoring. Boston's interior dominance, Mitchell's clutch offense, Cunningham's defensive energy, and the Fever's overall ball movement eventually became too much for the Sparks to overcome consistently. Still, Los Angeles showed tremendous resilience throughout the matchup, competing with intensity until the final possessions and proving they can challenge strong teams when their energy and defensive effort remain high. By the closing minutes, every possession felt massive as both teams battled through fatigue, pressure, and physical defense in front of a highly energized crowd. Indiana managed to deliver the critical plays needed late in the game, including huge buckets, defensive stops, and strong rebounding sequences that helped secure momentum when it mattered most. Mitchell's offensive confidence, Boston's interior control, and Indiana's ability to execute under pressure ultimately became the difference in a hard-fought, emotional, and highly competitive game that showcased the toughness, skill, and growing intensity of WNBA basketball